Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Let's just give everyone a bit of time to join us. Okay, so I'll just give everyone a bit of time. It's Friday. Friday. Good morning, Belle. How are you? Oh, I'm so hungry this morning. What has everyone had for breakfast? I just had a piece of toast. I feel like I should have eaten a bit more. Good morning, Noemi. Good morning, Frankie, if you're watching. Good morning. I'm so hungry. But to be honest, lately I've been hungry all the time. And I've got this really annoying rash on my face. I'm sure you can see it. You know that I'm so honest with all of you. And I don't know what it's from. And I'm very bad at not picking it. So I'm finding it very hard not to pick. It looks really bad. But I don't want to cover it up with makeup because, you know what? I think it's going to make it worse. Cereal. But still hungry. Porridge, I think, fills you up a bit more. Okay, should we go for our poem for today? Let's go for our poem for today. Oh, that looks hard to read. A Poem for My Sister by Liz Lockhead. My little sister likes to try my shoes, to strut in them, admire her spindle thin 12-year-old legs in this season's styles. She says they fit her perfectly, but wobbles on their high heels. They're hard to balance. I like to watch my little sister playing hopscotch, admire the neat hops and skips of her, their quick peck never missing their mark notch. Overstepping the line, she's a competent peever. I try to warn my little sister about unsuitable shoes, point out my own distorted feet, that calluses, odd patches of hard skin. I should not like to see her in my shoes. I wish she should stay sure-footed, sensibly shod. That was a bit confusing. Well done, Belle. That's good breakfast. Porridge is a really good breakfast. Next time I'll read you Old Meg. Okay, so we've given people a bit of time to join. I haven't joined on Instagram, but I might just go on now to see if there's anyone that wants to join us, but I doubt it. Oh yeah, porridge is yummy with banana slices. And you know, porridge is really yummy with oat milk instead of normal milk, if you're allergic to normal milk. Okay, so we are on chapter 14, The Night of Four Tales. Hold on. Let me just check how long this chapter is. We're like just over halfway. Okay, The Night of Four Tales. Man, isn't this rain ever going to stop? Asked Ben as he grabbed another handful of sweets from his treat bag. He offered me some, but I shook my head. My throat had closed up again, and it wouldn't let me eat anything. Not even sour cola bottles. None of us had an answer for Ben's question, so we just all sat and stared. Noah's head started to roll slowly down my arm as he gave me a soft snore. Pushing it back up, I took his space helmet off and made my shoulder stiffer so that he could fall again. I looked down to check his trousers. The bottoms were wet from the rain, but his ghost costume had covered most of him, and his trousers were still dry in the middle. That was good, because it meant he hadn't wet himself yet. Let me just... Good morning, Tamsin and Saskia. I just started, so don't worry. So what do we do now? Asked Ben on his third handful of sweets. Travis was resting his chin on his knees and looking straight ahead, too tired to reply. I opened my mouth, but my closed-up throat wouldn't let me say the words. We have to keep going. Pulling out a small black object from his coat pocket, Travis held it out to us. It was Mrs. I's sat-nav. So that's how Travis had known which road to take and why he'd never had to use our map. I can't believe you took that, grinned Ben, shaking his head. Mrs. I is going to flip her mattress when she sees it's gone. Travis shrugged. I saw it charging in the kitchen and I thought it might help. Anyway, I'm only borrowing it. He pressed the on button, making a cartoon head of a bald man with large eyebrows and a big chin wave out at us. As the words Dynamo Dom with you every step of the way flashed above him. After a few seconds, he disappeared, and a wide blue line surrounded by lots of little grey ones appeared on the screen. In the middle was a white arrow, which looked like a paper plane, pointing to where we were. Next to it were the words, the examination schools. I looked over my shoulder at the huge door behind us. I didn't know there was whole schools that made you only do exams. I reminded myself never to go to any of them. Travis pointed to the numbers at the bottom of the Dynamo Dom screen. My heart rocketed when I saw that it was 1 and 38 hours on one side and 51 miles on the other, but sank again when Travis said, "That's the car time. For our bikes, it's more than double." Ben nodded as I stared at the tiny screen. "Sorry, Anaya," said Travis. "I don't think we're going to get there in time." I nodded and bit my tongue angrily. I might have made it to the Star Hunters on time if I had left yesterday when I knew what I had to do and had never let anyone join me. "Mrs. I is going to kill us," said Ben, pulling out the strawberry lace with his teeth. "But if she does," he added, "I'm just going to remind her that she used to run away all the time when she was one of us." I looked over at Ben, feeling surprised and confused. The surprise made my voice come back, and I heard it. "What do you mean? Was she a foster kid too?" "Yup. And she was really naughty too," said Ben, leaning forward so that he could see me better. "She used to run away all the time because she hated everyone. And then she got given a really nice foster mum, and she decided that that's what she was going to be when she grew up. That's why she's mega nice to us." Good morning. Who do we have? Good morning, Brandon. Good morning, Max. But how did she become a foster kid? I asked, wondering why she had never told me and Noah that she'd been like us once. "Her mum got too sick to look after her, and no one else wanted her," said Ben. She got given away and became a foster kid. Then her mum died, and she tried to get adopted, but she couldn't because by then she was too old, and she kept running away instead. "She was too old?" I asked, frowning. "Yeah," said Ben. "Only younger foster kids get adopted. If you're a baby, you're sure to get adopted, but once you're older and become a teenager, no one wants you because you've got hormones and spots and stuff coming out. And you get too tall. That's why me and Travis are trying to make Mrs. I adopt us. We're getting too old and too tall, so it's kind of like our last chance." I looked at Travis. He opened his eyes and gave me a nod, as if being tall was something he wished he could change. "Mrs. I wanted her own kids as well as foster kids," added Ben, stuffing another strawberry lace in her mouth. "After she got married with Mr. I," gulping hard again, he added, "but Mr. I and her couldn't have any, and then Mr. I got cancer and died. So she became a foster mum." Oh, I whispered, not knowing what else to say. Now I understood why Mrs. I smiled so much and never told Noah off for wetting the bed or for screaming and crying. I felt even more worried than I was before, because what if Mrs. I didn't believe that running away to London was my idea and decided to make Travis and Ben stay foster kids forever? What if I had made them lose their chance of being adopted by letting them come with me to find Mum's star? A very large and real lump began to grow in the back of my throat. But you and Noah don't need to worry, said Travis. Noah's little, and people like taking brothers and sisters together. Why hasn't Mrs. I adopted you yet? I asked. You're both much nicer than Sophie is. She should have adopted you and not her. Travis shook his head and Ben said, Nah, Sophie's been with Mrs. I since she was 6. Me and Travis only came last year. Travis came first and then I came about 2 weeks after him. It's not enough time yet for her to want to adopt us for good. Yeah, agreed Travis, looking at his knees again. We all stayed quiet for a moment and then I asked the question I'd been wanting to ask ever since my first night at Mrs. I's house. But so, how come you're both foster kids? Did your mum and dad disappear too? I asked. Travis and Ben both silently looked at each other, as if each of them were asking the other one if they should tell me. They both must have said yes, because Ben looked at me and said, I turned into one because Mum and Dad couldn't take care of me and my sister anymore. Oh, I said, nodding. I made my face stay the same, even though my mouth wanted to fall open and my eyes wanted to stare at him even harder. Ben had a sister and a mum and a dad too. Ben looked down and talked into his hood as if he had asked him the questions and not me. Dad used to be a delivery man, he continued, with his own van and everything, and whenever he was happy, he would take us to see football matches. He gave me this, he said, touching his hooded jumper, because we supported Newcastle United. That's where he was from. I nodded. I had a favourite jumper too. Mum and Dad had bought it for me in Disneyland. It'd been the Lion King one with photographs of lions, real ones, not cartoon ones, with golden glitter in their eyes. If I still had it, I would wear it all the time as well. But then, when he lost his job and his business got shut down, Dad got really sad, continued Ben. He gave a sniff as if his nose was running, and then that's when he started going out to the pub a lot. When he came back, he would yell at us and hurt Mum. Then one day, Mum told him to go away and never come back, and he hurt us all so much that me and my sister got taken away and put in lots of different foster homes with lots of different foster parents. We didn't like most of them, so we kept running away. But when we came to Mrs. I liked it, so I stayed. And your sister? I asked, hoping she didn't live too far away from Mrs. I's house. She didn't like living in foster homes, said Ben. She ran away again, but she's 18 now, so she can live on her own. She moved to Wales, and she doesn't like seeing me because it gives her bad memories. That's it, really. Ben still hadn't looked up from his jumper. Oh, I said again, wondering where Ben's real mum was and if she was okay now. But I knew that he didn't want me to ask any more questions, so I stayed quiet. Travis' eyes looked over Noah's head at me as I waited for him to say something. He opened his mouth and then looked over at Ben. Ben, you tell it. Ben gave a small nod and said, Travis's mum died when he was 7. She was ill, and he was with her all alone when it happened. His dad had left when he was still a baby, so the care people made him live with his aunt for a bit, but she wasn't nice to him, so one day she got taken away from her and put into foster homes, and that's where he's been ever since. Ben finished with a shrug, as if what he was saying was pretty normal. I looked up at Travis, but I couldn't see his eyes anymore. His hair had drooped down over his face, and he was looking at his knees and flicking something invisible away from the top of them with his fingers. Now I knew why Travis had asked what it sounded like when his mum's heart had left her body to go and turn into a star. He doesn't like talking about it, said Ben, because the doctors say that that's how he got his stutter. His aunt gave it to him. I frowned, wondering how someone could give someone else a stutter. Noah used to stutter sometimes, but only if he was too scared to tell Mum or Dad that he'd been naughty and broken something, and then he'd go right back to normal afterwards. His aunt gave him a stutter, I asked. Ben nodded. Yeah, by making him too frightened to get his words out. Sometimes when Sophie's being extra mean, she makes him stutter even more. Travis gave a louder sniff, just like Ben had done. Why is Sophie so mean to everyone, I asked, thinking about my spaghetti bowl and her I hate you stares and my locket. When I thought of her making Travis stutter more, it made me hate her even more than I already did. I'd never met anyone who was so as mean as her. Because she's scared we'll get adopted too, said Travis quietly. Ben nodded. She was just like us once, a foster kid, but then Mrs. I loved her and adopted her, and Sophie doesn't want her to love or adopt anyone else. I guess she's scared that Mrs. I will love them more than her or will care about her less. She tries to make everyone leave by being horrible to them, even though she knows how it feels like not having a real family. Her dad died when she was small, and her mum didn't want her, so she gave Sophie away. She went to some other foster homes and had foster mums and dads, but when Mrs. I took her when she was 6 and she never left, she got really lucky. Yes, said Travis, as he finally flicked away his hair so we could see his face again. His eyes looked extra shiny. I stayed sitting quietly, wondering about everything I'd heard. I'd never heard of mums giving their children away before, or people being so horrible that they could give you a stutter, or dads who hurt mums so much that they made everyone split up. All of it seemed horrible and unfair. It's all very sad, isn't it? Laying my head on top of Noah's, I wondered where Dad was and why he hadn't come to find us yet. He always said he was a family man, so I knew he wouldn't like us not being with the family anymore. So I knew at the hotel that wasn't really a hotel, Mum had said we needed to stay hiding from Dad for a long time. But now that she had left, I'm sure that this wasn't true. And as soon as he found us, I would ask him to help Ben and Travis get adopted quickly so they wouldn't need to worry anymore. My thoughts were cut short as a large red bus stopped in front of us, splashing the steps of rainwater and making us all tuck our legs in tightly to our chests. The bus was brightly lit and had lots of people inside, some sleeping with their heads squashed against the windows. The double doors hissed open and someone covered their head with a coat, got out and ran down Logic Lane. As it closed its doors and began to drive away, Travis sat up straight. Look, he ordered, pointing to the back of the bus excitedly. I leaned forward and quickly read the giant white letters written diagonally across the back of the bus before they faded away. They said, Oxford Tube from every 10 minutes, 24 hours a day, Oxford to London, from £8 return. That's it, cried out Ben, thumping Travis on the arm. Let's catch a coach to London. I sat up, feeling so excited that I accidentally forgot about Noah's head and felt it rolling behind me. Catching it, I pushed it back onto my shoulder again. Could we, I asked, if we caught the coach right away, we might still make it to London before midnight. Will we still have money for the tickets? Travis nodded. Yeah, we should do. Me and Ben have got all our money with us, but we'll need to wait until the morning when there's more people and drivers won't call the police on us. Yeah, agreed Ben, shaking his bag and making the coins he had inside it twinkle. And the coach will be much safer than cycling, especially because Mrs. I's called the police and we're wanted criminals now. Plus, we won't get knocked down by any more stupid cars, he said. But the competition ends tonight. It'll be too late in the morning, I reminded them. The star hunters won't be there after it gets light. They only work when the stars are out at night, remember? And if they're not there, they won't have anyone to tell Mum to start. It's better if we go now. Travis shook his head. It's too late for us to get on one now. There won't be anyone our age out this time, even on Halloween. But if we go in the morning, said Travis, getting excited, we can make it in time for the gala party. Remember, the computers will pick up the name at midnight, but nobody will know it until the party tomorrow. I looked down at Noah and thought hard. Ben and Travis were right. The website had said the name Mum's star wouldn't be announced until the gala, which meant we would have the whole day to get to the star hunters and make sure they used Mum's real name for her star and not pretend one chosen by computers. I knew Mum wouldn't want to be called by the wrong name, and I also knew she wouldn't mind waiting just a little bit longer for me to fix everything. We still had a chance, just as long as Mrs. I and the police didn't catch us. Okay, I said, trying to stop myself from running after the coach, even in the rain. Let's go as soon as it's morning. Let's get some sleep first, said Travis, as he pulled the hood of his skeleton costume over his head. Ben nodded and whispered, Mrs. I is so gonna kill us. Wrapped his cloak around himself and placed his Darth Vader mask over his face to protect it from the rain. Next to me, Noah gave another sigh and rolled his head over to Travis's arm. I wanted to sleep too because my eyes are feeling like my ankle, all swollen and sore and strange. But every time I closed my eyes, I kept thinking about the tales of Mrs. I and Ben and Travis and Sophie, and wondering how many foster kids and foster parents and foster homes there were in the world, and why I'd never heard of any of them before. I'd become one and live in one, so I kept my eyes open and looked at the rain splashing on the steps in front of me until, as if someone was sticking fluffy cotton wool into my eyes, the sound of the raindrops began to fade away. My eyelids soon became too heavy to keep open, and without knowing when I gave in and felt myself being sucked I felt myself being sucked into a big black hole of sleep. So that was that chapter. The next chapter is called Unusual and Suspicious Articles. Let's see how many chapters we've got left. 1. So that's chapter 15. We've got 9 chapters left. So I think they might just make it to London. How exciting. Thanks, Tamsin. It's the Strong Girls Club t-shirt. I've got a purple one as well. And yeah, because I'm part of the Strong Girls Club. I hope you enjoyed that chapter. And remember, next week I'm in school, so there is no story time next week, as I will be with Year 6. Well, I'm not 100% sure I will be, but I will let you know on Monday if I'm not, and that story time will continue, but I'll let you know on Monday. Thank you for joining today. I hope everyone has a super duper weekend. I hope you all have something planned. Hopefully it doesn't rain too much on us. And as always, sending lots of love and lots of positive energy. Well done for all your hard work. Keep it up. And I will see you either next week or the week after. Okay? But I will still upload my daily videos anyway. I might, if I'm feeling kind, I might pre-record some reading. But I quite like doing it live so I can see your reactions. I hope you have a super duper weekend. And I will see you next week. Remember, stay home, stay safe, stay positive, and stay kind. See you next week, guys. Have a good weekend.